watching OUP's interview with a teacher. Today's guest is an all-round, bubbly English teacher who does not teach the language as a system, but uses the language to educate. This teacher favors a holistic approach and digs her teeth into anything that will enable her to help her students develop as a whole. She finds that the best way to do it is through educational drama, and she's here with us today to share some of her experiences. Please welcome Mrs. Ivona Rangelovic, aka Miss Ivona. Hi Ivona, thank you for coming today. Thank you for inviting me. Ivona, can you tell us a little bit about yourself first? Where are you from and how long have you been working in ELT? I come from a small town called Leskovac in the south of Serbia, but the school I work in is in the nearby village of Pečenjevce. I have been teaching English for 14 years now in both lower and upper primary grades. I have to say that I'm lucky to be working with most wonderful students. Together we constantly break prejudices that children from non-urban areas cannot perform as well as their peers from towns and bigger developed cities. And this makes us very proud. I'm sure it does. In my introduction I said that you are a great fan of drama. So tell us, why do you think using drama is important in class? Well, drama happens around us all the time, in the street, at work, in our homes, with our children, spouses, parents, with our students, neighbors. So why not bring it into the classroom and take the advantage of something as natural as that in order to enhance learning? But before we bring it into the classroom, we have to know what drama is and what it is not. Because a lot of teachers seem to have a misconception about what drama actually is, just as I did at the beginning. I thought that putting up a play at the end of the term or the school year was drama. It isn't? No, I also thought that asking my students to memorize, practice and then perform a dialogue from a textbook in front of the rest of the class was drama too, but I turned out to be wrong. So role play isn't drama either. No, at least not the way we usually do it. It is considered to be theatre, because the focus is on the script, written by someone else, chosen by me, the teacher, for the students to act out in front of an external audience, mummies, daddies and grandparents, in the way I directed them during numerous repeated rehearsals. And what's the result? A big applause, yay, a sense of fulfillment that everything turned out well, and a few video clips on Facebook or on YouTube for the others to like or give the thumbs up. What is drama then? Well, simply put, drama is improvisation, which is the nearest form to real-life interaction. It focuses on the students who work with the language they themselves devised in an imaginary situation of their own choice, with everyone actively participating and no onlookers, taking the course the students themselves chose. Well, when you look at it, in everyday life, drama is always stimulated by something. For example, a burst pipe in the house. It's tense, the water gushing out. Thought-provoking, you have to think quickly how to solve the problem. It's engaging and interactive. All the members of the family try to help out and negotiate the best way to solve the problem to fix the pipe. Its participants have different roles and they make decisions on the spot. Someone's going to bring a bucket for the water and hold it. Someone's going to call the fire brigade. Someone's going to try and fix the pipe on his own. And the outcome of drama is unpredictable. It will be the consequence of the choices and decisions made on the spot by the participants. Now imagine each member of the family in that situation holding a script, reading aloud the lines assigned to them, then another member of the family directing them, and the rest of the family sitting down and watching. Now, would you call that drama? I don't know. You wouldn't. You'd call it theatre. Are you against having theatre in schools? Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have theatre in schools. On the contrary, theatre is great. It's a form of art. I love it. And I love it when we get the applause at the end of the performance. But I also think that it is very important to incorporate drama, educational drama, in the everyday classroom, and in our case in the ELT classroom, because it helps you to contextualize the language that the students are learning, to integrate all sorts of skills, language skills, social skills and others. It helps you to improve the students' literacy, to boost their confidence, and it helps you to create opportunities for the students to safely explore and develop their understanding of the world. In a nutshell, drama helps you develop the whole child. Basically, you're advising teachers to teach English through drama and turn their classrooms into a place where scenes like the one with the burst pipe can take place, right? Yes, the teacher only has to provide the students with a stimulus, like the burst pipe, and then the students will take over and further develop the drama. I think, Ivona, that you may have got some teachers very interested in what you're saying. You've got me already. What snippets of advice would you give to those wishing to try out drama in class? Well, first of all, get to know your enemy. Equip yourself with as much knowledge about drama as you can. Get yourself a book on the basics of drama to get you going. Do a little bit of research, read articles, visit drama sites, and if possible, attend drama workshops, webinars, online courses. Evo Drama free online course is the one that got me going, that opened my eyes, and I'm so thankful for it, and to the people running it. Then, if you and your students are inexperienced, start small with short sessions on a regular basis. It will give you, the teacher, an opportunity to build your confidence, and it will get your students used to a new way of learning. And number 3, if you fail at your first try, then learn from it and try again and again, because it's worth it. Thank you, Ivona, that was very useful. And we'll be right back with some more drama tips after the music break. You might get knocked down, but you'll get up again. Give drama another chance. You might get knocked down, but you'll get up again, and eventually have a good time. You might get knocked down, but you'll get up again. Give drama another chance. You might get knocked down, but you'll get up again, and eventually have a good time. Yeah! You're watching OUP's interview with a teacher. Today's guest is Miss Ivona, an English teacher from Serbia, and we're talking to her about using drama in the classroom. Miss Ivona, are all teachers able to teach drama, or just the outgoing ones? Since drama is not about acting, but about having and expressing an attitude in role, I think that any teacher can do it. They should at least try and take the drama bull by the horns. When a colleague is in doubt whether to try it or not, this is what I usually tell them to get them closer to saying yes to drama. First of all, I tell them, trust me when I tell you, yes you can. Then I tell them, free yourself from any constraints holding you back from doing drama. And acknowledge that drama does not expect you to give a performance for your students. You don't have to be an actor in order to do drama. When you take on a role of a plumber, a fireman, or a neighbor, the idea is that you express your attitude in that role and in that way challenge and stimulate the students who will further develop the ongoing drama. And of course, get to know your enemy. Defeat it with your confidence and the skills that you will acquire with the help of books and good training. But we're going to see the instructions on how to do it now. Ah, Dead Poets Society, my favorite film of all time.
Now, who's next? Mr. Anderson. So you're sitting there in agony. Come on, Todd, step up. Let's put you out of your misery.
I didn't do it. I didn't write a poem.
Mr. Anderson thinks that everything inside of him is worthless and embarrassing. Isn't that right, Todd? And that's your worst fear. Well, I think you're wrong. I think you have something inside of you that is worth a great deal. I sound my barbaric yelp. The rooftops of the world. W. Uncle Walt again. Now, for those of you who don't know, a yelp is a loud cry or yell. Now, Todd, I would like you to give us a demonstration of a barbaric yelp. Come on, you can't yelp sitting down. Let's go. Come on, up. Gotta get in yelping stance.
A yelp.
No, not just a yelp. A barbaric yelp.
Yelp.
Come on, louder.
Yelp.
Oh, that's a mouse. Come on, louder.
Yelp.
Oh, good God, boy, yell like that. There it is. You see, you're a barbarian in you after all. Now, you don't get away that easy. Picture of Uncle Walt up there. What does he remind you of? Don't think. Answer. Go on.
A madman.
What kind of madman? Don't think about it. Just answer again.
A crazy madman.
Oh, you can do better than that. Free up your mind. Use your imagination. Say the first thing that pops into your head, even if it's total gibberish. Go on. Go on.
A sweaty-toothed madman.
Good God, boy. There's a poet in you after all. There. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close them. Now, describe what you see.
I close my eyes.
Yes?
And this image floats beside me.
A sweaty-toothed madman.
A sweaty-toothed madman with a stare that pounds my brain.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, give him action. Make him do something.
His hands reach out and choke me.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
And all the time he's mumbling.
What's he mumbling?
Mumbling truth.
Yeah.
Truth like a blanket that always leaves your feet cold.
Forget them. Stay with the blanket. Tell me about that blanket.
You push it, stretch it, it'll never be enough. You kick at it, beat it, it'll never cover any of us. From the moment we enter crying to the moment we leave dying, it'll just cover your face as you wail and cry and scream.
Don't you forget this.
Also, you can do what one of my colleagues did. We're gonna see it now.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good...
What am I afraid of? I take on and perform different roles in my everyday life, don't I? The role of a caring mum, a nagging wife, an enthusiastic teacher, a good neighbor, a respectable citizen, an annoyed customer in the shop from time to time. So why can't I be a frightening giant or a shipwrecked sailor? I'm gonna do it.
Stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call.
I wonder now, do students need this kind of encouragement to get involved in drama? How do they tend to respond to drama activities? Well, suffice it to say that when the bell rings, they go, "Oh, already?" Or they ask me questions like, "Can we continue even though it's break time? We can do number one later." Or, "Will we do this again?" How the students will respond depends, if not entirely, but then a great deal on the teacher and the preparation, as is the case with any other lesson. The teacher must grab students' attention from the very beginning and keep the drama tense, you know, the water gushing out. Keep it tense all the way through by introducing challenges, intrigues, possibilities, allowing the students to make decisions which way they want drama to develop. For example, the giant is asleep and the teacher can ask, well, what shall we do now? Wake him up or go past him? Try tie him up? What do you suggest? And then the students again take over. And do you get the same response from both young learners and the teens? Young learners are so easily drawn into a dramatic play. It's in their nature to create imaginary worlds and imitate the real world. They have no problem turning a cardboard box into a spaceship, a chair into a horse, or turn rocks into ingredients for the soup, which is what I used to do when I was little. Teens, on the other hand, can be a little bit challenging for the teacher if they have no experience using drama at an earlier age. Because what happens is that, quote, as children grow up, we start to educate them progressively from the waist up. And then we focus on their heads and slightly to one side. Just because they are older does not mean that they should be deprived of drama, of something so natural to them in order to meet the man-made school standards. What do you do with shy or introverted learners who might be hesitant to participate? At first, if there's a child that does not want to take part, I respect their wish and let them sit and watch. But it doesn't take them long before they express the wish to join us and be part of all the excitement that they have just witnessed. I have a 12-year-old student with very low emotional intelligence. He starts crying even when you ask him how he's doing. Anyway, when I started doing drama with his class, he took part, but you could not hear him say a single word until we got to the point of allocating roles for the story that we were doing. And he expressed a wish to be nothing less than an expert in physics. Now, the physics teacher, who was present in class at that moment, tried to suggest to him that he might be better off with another role. But then I gave her a signal to leave him be and respect his wish. We gave him an ID card, which he hung around his neck, and now he was officially labeled as an important figure. I made sure, though, that I was around him all the time to help him with the role. At the end of the lesson, he approached me and said, "Miss Ivona, this has been the best class ever." I was thrilled. So being an expert in something, even though it was pretense, must have meant the world to him. Yeah, it did. After that, he was more open and more active in whatever we were doing, and he made progress language-wise as well. Now that you've mentioned that, what are some other benefits of using drama in class? The benefits are numerous, but I will mention those I have noticed in my classes. My students have become 100% active. Now this shows you that drama is a great classroom management strategy. Then my students' writing skills have improved a great deal because while writing in role, they make an extra effort to fulfill the task. The language is contextualized and they know what it is for, why they are learning it, how it can be used outside the classroom. Very often we tend to drill our students to use only one language structure, which is so unnatural. It's far from a real-life interaction. Can you imagine two English-speaking children having this kind of a conversation? "Have you got a pet?" "Yes, I have." Have you got a turtle? No, I haven't. Have you got a cat? Yes, I have. Got my point? Now, the students no longer wait for me to tell them what to think. They have begun to think for themselves. Though I have to say it was really hard and frustrating at the beginning because they were not used to it. But now they reflect on the experiences they gain through drama and arrive at conclusions about the matter we've been exploring. We don't just learn the language, but we use it for higher goals. Then they have learned to cooperate and support each other. They can put themselves into someone else's shoes and empathize. They have taken over the power from me in order to create, to lead, and we're on the same level now. I'm no longer the teacher on the throne. And finally, I got to know them better because drama has revealed all their strengths and weaknesses to me. Lovely, I want to be part of it. Hi, you can join us anytime. Have you got a favorite activity that you can recommend to teachers? There are numerous activities and strategies, all of them being very useful. An activity that I have recently done with young learners has to do with furniture, with there is, there are, and prepositions. I read about it in Improv Encyclopedia, which is a brilliant resource, and it can be downloaded for free from the internet. I'll give the shorter version now, just the activity, but if anyone would like to have the longer version, the lesson plan with all of the drama elements, it will be available for download. Anyway, for this activity or any other drama activity, all you need is a cleared space and, of course, imagination. In this activity, the cleared space becomes an unfurnished room. The students decide where the door is and where the windows are. One by one, or in pairs, they open the imaginary door and they bring in a piece of furniture. They decide where they want to place it, and then they leave through the same door. Now the next student, or a pair of students, bring in something else. All the while the others are watching and imagining what piece of information the students are bringing in, and they are working out the spatial relationship between the items. For example, the lamp is on the cupboard and the cupboard is next to the bed. Now the best part is when someone goes in and does not mind the items that are already in the room, so the others shout out, "Hey, careful, mind the lamp," or "Careful, you're walking on the bed," and so on. Now the follow-up activity can be, to ask the students to draw the room that they have just furnished and describe it. Ivana, thank you so much for the valuable tips about drama and theatre. I take it we've only scratched the surface and it's up to the teachers now to get a shovel, dig deeper and find the treasure on their own. Yeah, go for it and good luck with it. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time with another ELT topic and another enthusiastic teacher. Bye-bye for now.
Oh, she said, keep your chest. Oh, she said, give your chest. Good chance. Ah, you good. Oh, she